Okay, guys. First and foremost, peace. This is actually a recap because I did one for the first, two for the second, and it's actually now the 3rd of February. So it's the third day of Black History Month, which is understanding, which is the best part. Understanding is to see through your third eye, which is the mind. Understanding is the manifestation of one's knowledge and one's wisdom. Understanding is symbolic to the black child. Um, Obviously, it's the best part. It comes from the mother and the father. It's the cream that rises to the top. All that good stuff, right? Well, what I've attempted to do, um, I haven't been as successful for uploading these things on time. But what I wanted to do was something different this year. I wanted to give a book of the day for each day of Black History Month. And my first book was Niggas the Gods, Volume 1, by Q. I think I read this book first, like 98, somewhere around there. It had me sparked. I already had knowledge of self, but it put me on my right path. I came across Volume 2, which is the book for the second, February 2nd. And actually, page 147, What is Our Real African Culture, was the actual chapter that inspired me from that book for the second. And honestly, because dealing with the science of wisdom, which is the manifestation of knowledge, once you get a chance to know who you are, once you get a chance to have that original spark, the next thing is you want to do a little bit more history. You want to know, how to eat properly, how to dress properly, how to attach back to my roots. So whole Sankofa thing. And honestly, what ends up happening is we start attaching to anything that sounds good or looks good. We're extremely vulnerable. Right? We fall victim to what they say is trick knowledge. So for the Wisdom Day, I thought that maybe first you have the deprogramming book, which is volume 1. Then you have the reprogramming book, which is volume 2. Um, but did I bring it with me? I would say for the day 3, for understanding, we get into the Medunetta. Pardon myself, the Medunetta, volume 1, by Raul Nefer Ahmed. Now, this book did a lot for me as well, because though it's a book that deals with the science of Kemet or ancient Egypt, it's actually very holistic, meaning it takes everything and puts it in a way that everything interacts together, right? So when you're dealing with understanding, which again is the best part, you want to make sure that you're not closed minded. You don't want to be too linear. You don't want to be too left brain segregated thinking. You probably don't want to be even too right brain, too artistic, too out there. We're in the middle of a war. They're killing us for the color of our skin. You don't want to be writing poems about it. You have to be able to strategize. And you don't want to calculate when you have to put in some action. So you have to find a way to bring everything together. Right? Find a way to survive holistically. Well, what this book did for me was it allowed me to take Supreme Mathematics, my 120, which is in the language that I speak now, and to take it back to something that was historical by thousands upon thousands of years, and then also attach it to what my DNA lineage would be, which is through West Africa. During the diaspora, we were taken as slaves, or made into slaves, I should say. What this allowed me to do was take something that already we know has historic reference and how it synchronizes into the western part of Africa, which I can tie into, and still synchronize into um, the subcultures that we live here in America, um, namely, we all call knowledge itself in some way, shape, or form, be it Hebrew Israelites, um, black, quote unquote, black Muslims, Moors, whatever. we have all these things that are so interconnected, and there's ways that you can find out basically how to deal with all sciences of life, right? And manifest them through yourself. So understanding is to be able to see clearly through the third eye, which is the mind. So I can visualize, I can take that which I know and that which I act on and bring it together and have this complete picture. And this book was one of those books that allowed me to help take that science and build on it, right? Take that synergy, that synchronized energy, and find interdependence. So again, I think it's a great book to build on. I think it's something that we might want to do because I know that you can Google all this stuff. Anything I'm telling you, you can Google. Fact check or whatever. But to me, I get the most personally. I get the most out of things whenever I go into my own personal library and I read. It allows me to grasp it more. I don't know. Maybe because that's how I came up. I didn't have the luxury of coming up and Googling lessons and Googling certain things. I had to dig inside books. I had to borrow it. I had to hope that somebody who was an elder or knowledgeable would be willing enough to trust me to hold their book and bring it back in the condition that they gave it to me. So I mean, we're in different areas now. Don't get me wrong. I don't knock it, but that's just what my contribution is for the month. Just to give you a little bit of where I came from, some of the things that I had, and hopefully you can add it into your plate. You know what I'm saying? So, with that said, we now build Oriami Adewole. As my Yoruba brothers would say, Alafia. As my Kemetic brothers would say, Hotep. My Moors would say, Islam. And as Nation of Gods and Earth would say, peace. Oh yeah. Also from my RBGs, that's something too. You want to look at things from a revolutionary point of view, not just for information, but for ways to be mobilized. Because we're in a time where we're dying. They're killing us for the color of our skin. You might need to know how to grow food. You might don't just get the information so you can sound slick. Get the information so you can use it, so we can teach somebody and ultimately find some sort of peace.